do. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dinner's going to be a little late tonight. Thanks for joining us today, or if it's tomorrow or next week, whenever. We're just really happy you're tuning in to see us this week.
We have been having so much fun with this show, and this is episode 9. So that's a commitment, I think. Like if you were dating and you were on the 9th date, that would be kind of like, hey, you need to put out or else I'm out of here, first of all. And secondly, you'd be like bonding. That would be like, oh, this is a thing. Like, we're doing this.
Yeah, that's a milestone. Yeah. Wow, John, that just brought up so many things in my head, just what you said. And I'm like, my heart rate's going up, but we're just going to keep going. So, John, before we talk about this week, let's review last week. Delicious.
So last week was, we made a delicious rack of lamb with Moroccan spices and this amazing mashed potato with red peppers mixed in and a tomato agrodolce sauce on top. And it was, honestly, it was an endeavor. So if any of you made that at home, there was a lot of pieces, a lot of moving parts. And it was totally worth it because it tasted so delicious. And I love lamb, and rack of lamb is one of my favorite things to order in a restaurant. And when we were at the Monarch Beach Resort a couple of weeks ago, I ordered it. And this is the dish that I was served at one of their restaurants at the resort in Dana Point. And I fell in love with it. It was so good. So I asked the chef if he would share the recipe, and he did. And so we got to share that recipe with you. We made it last week, and that recipe is on the blog at twodadswithbaggage.com. You can go there and take a look at the recipe and make it yourself. Or you can go to YouTube and watch the show and make it along with us because we're kind of fun to hang out with.
Yeah. It was a lot of moving parts, but it wasn't complicated. That's what I loved. It was like very, very approachable and easy. And, you didn't feel like, oh, I can't do this. What's this technique or what's this weird ingredient? But my goodness, the combination of Moroccan flavors. I don't think I'd ever made anything Moroccan before. So that was pretty cool.
And we made our own spice mix, the Moroccan spice mix, but you can buy it at Whole Foods. I just couldn't find it. So we made it with a bunch of combination of different spices, but I still have some left over. Look, it's right here. And it smells so good. I wish you viewing at home could smell this because, wow, can you smell it?
Yeah, it smells fantastic.
It is. I can't wait to make something with it. I don't know what. But today, what are we making, Patty?
Today we are making a sirloin Chipotle steak bowl with quinoa and black beans. So this is a healthy, it's kind of like the salmon dish. It's kind of my jam, which is healthy, filling, lots of different flavors, lots of layers of flavors, very fresh and lively. Also really easy to modify and tailor to your tastes. So right off the bat, it says Chipotle steak. You want to go meatless? Go meatless. You want to use chicken instead? Do chicken. That's the fun thing. And we'll talk a little bit about the ingredients that we might have debated over a little bit this week. So true story, full confession, I've never grilled a steak in my life. That's what my husband does. He cooked a steak for me on our first date, and I just handed the reins to him, and I don't even know how to light a barbecue. So John is going to be our grill master today. So we're going to start with the steak, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about quinoa and about the other ingredients. And I think we've got some good little stories today. It might be the day for our origin story. I heard a rumor that might be happening today. So John, why don't you get us started on the steak?
Well, I think we should tell that story.
Right now? Already?
You want me to get started on the steak and then tell the story?
Yeah, I think you should. I don't know. It takes a little bit. It's up to you.
Today we are making, I'm using sirloin steaks. They're from Panorama Meats, which is owned by Purdue Farms. I'm a Purdue Farms ambassador. And Panorama is their brand that is organic and grass-fed. So those two things together make for delicious steak. And sirloin is sort of one of those underloved cuts of meat. And I don't know about you, but my generation when I was growing up, top sirloin and ground sirloin was kind of a nice way of saying hamburger or, just not a top, but it actually is one of the most delicious and flavorful cuts of steak. There's a reason why they call it top sirloin, because it's the top part and it's the better part. At any rate, it's marbled and delicious. And when you cook it, it just firms up really nicely. And for salads especially, it holds its shape. So when you slice it, it just looks good. Tastes good, looks good. So we're going to make the steak, but first we're going to put a little chipotle base on it, a little rub. And sometimes you can buy a rub at the store. We're making our own. Super, super easy. And there are very few ingredients. So we start with a tablespoon of olive oil and salt and pepper, and then a half of a teaspoon of cumin. So, cumin has that sort of south of the border zing, that flavor. And then we put in a quarter teaspoon of chipotle. And chipotle chili has a very distinct flavor. Now, some people don't know that chipotle is another form. This is my chipotle. Another form of jalapenos. So it is a chili that has been turned red and then been dried and ground into this delicious powder that is so flavorful of the Southwest. So I don't know if you remember a while back, Jack in the Box had that commercial where Jack with the big head was trying to say Chipotle because they were introducing a Chipotle burger or something. I don't know, remember? And he couldn't say Chipotle. It's not that hard, Jack.
Is that what he said? Chipotle?
Incidentally, when you go to the store, and I just got this at Vons, but this brand, it's called Morton and Bassett, and it's from San Francisco, and it's a little more expensive, but these spices are really, really high quality. So it's worth it sometimes to spend a little bit more on a spice because the flavor really does make a difference. And spices don't last forever, do they, Patty, in her grandma's spice rack?
No, John, they don't. But we did learn last week that most spices are good for a couple of years. And remember, what's the spice that lasts forever?
Vanilla?
Vanilla and salt. So in all else,
salt and spice?
That's what it said on the internet, so it must be true.
Okay, I'm not going to touch that one. All right, so our cumin, our chipotle chili, our olive oil, our salt and pepper, and I'm just making a little marinade, right? And then I put my little rubber brush, and I'm just brushing it on the steak really quick. And while I'm doing that, I'm turning on the heat for the pan so that it's ready when I do this. But the meat is now getting basted with this delicious marinade. Ooh, and it smells really good. So I'm rubbing it all over the steak, on both sides of the steak. So here's an interesting thing about steak, and particularly when you're cooking steak, indoors or outdoors, on the grill or in a pan on the stove. There's kind of a basic rule for cooking it that I'm going to share with you, and this is my rule that I think a friend shared with me originally. It totally works. So if you have a thicker piece, I got to wash my hands. Sorry.
Good. Wait, you're not going to take 20 seconds to wash your hands, are you?
No, I'm here. I'm back. I just had to rinse that off. So
okay.
The rule, if you have a fillet, the rule is 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. That's all you have to remember. 4 minutes. So 4 minutes on one side, flip it over, 4 minutes on the other side, take it off, 4 minutes to rest on the plate because it keeps cooking even after you've taken it off the grill. And then it's done and it's perfect. And you get like good medium rare to medium on a fillet. And a fillet is thicker steak. These aren't quite as thick. So today I'm going to do 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, so it's the same thing. So also I want to show you my really cool pan. So I've got this grill pan that has these grooves in the bottom, and they catch the juices that fall that you don't necessarily, you don't necessarily want to cook the meat in its own juices. But here's the fancy thing, and if I do it right, it leaves those really cool crisscross lines on the steak that look all professional-like, and it makes me look like I know what I'm doing. So I have I've basted the steaks, and now they're all covered with this delicious marinade that we just pulled together, and I'm just putting them on the grill.
Beautiful.
And I've got it on medium high, and they're just going to do their thing there while we talk. And I'm going to time it so that I'll do 3 minutes, 3 minutes, and 4 minutes, and then we'll be ready to go.
Awesome.
So, Patty.
Yes, dear. I'm not doing anything because Scott cooked mine last night, and mine is all ready to go. And this, look at these beautiful little pieces of.
Oh, ooh, that looks good.
Oh my God.
You're making me hungry. I thought you had to slice it like in long slices, but you cubed yours. That's great. Anyway.
Well, the reason I did, this is such a good segue. It's like we planned it. The reason I did is because it's a bowl, right? And I think when you eat a bowl, you shouldn't have to cut, because cutting in a bowl is, okay, let's be honest. Who watches TV while they eat dinner? And I don't want to have to cut it. So yes, it'd be much more aesthetically attractive and pleasing if the steak was kept in the slices. If you want to do that and impress your friends and family, go for it. But if you're like me and you just want your glass of wine and you're going to watch something on Netflix and you don't want to spill in your lap, go for the bite-sized pieces. So yeah,
no,
John,
I actually think I think your ideas are a really good one. I'm gonna do it the same way.
All right.
I'm turning these steaks because I want them to have that crisscross.
Nice. I love that. Man, that tasted really good.
While that's cooking, Patty.
Yes, dear.
How did we meet?
Well, John, we met in the Taco Bell parking lot in, what was it? 81, 80, 79, 1979?
Yeah, wow, you're outing our age and everything. And that is such a glamorous way for us to have met, in the Taco Bell parking lot. But I had a job at Taco Bell. That was my very first job when I was 16 years old. And Patty was a friend of another woman that worked at Taco Bell. And we all ended up in the parking lot and have been friends, close friends ever since. But why are we telling that story today? Well, because if you have ever worked at Taco Bell or at a fast food restaurant, you get sick of that food really fast. Because you can eat it whenever you want, but you're around it every time you go there. And after a while, those same ingredients can only be put together so many ways, especially at Taco Bell, because you have cheese and meat and beans and vegetables, and that's about it, except for like tortillas, right? So we were constantly looking for ways to come up with new dishes. I'm going to turn my steaks over. New dishes that would give us something new to eat with what we had to work with. And so we would make bowls. And we would make these salads when salads weren't on the menu at Taco Bell, because we were so sick of eating what was on the menu and those sauces and those beans. And hey, guess what? I made those beans when I worked at Taco Bell, and you don't want to know what goes into those beans.
Oh, but they're so good.
It's not like it's not gross. It's just very high in fat, like the cube of lard that would go into the beans, and then you'd be mixing in. So it's like after you see stuff like that, a couple times you're like, salad's sounding pretty good right now. So that's where the bowl comes in, because I've been making bowls with, I don't know, not Chipotle, but with this kind of flavoring for a very long time. So we're happy to make a more healthy version, a more upscale version today.
Very cutting edge, John. You were doing bowls before bowls were cool. So, John, right. I have a question for you. Well, first of all, you haven't even talked about your uniform at Taco Bell, which is one of my favorite memories, because John was, let's just say, lanky in high school.
Lanky?
Lanky.
Yeah.
Skinny.
I think I weighed about 120 pounds.
Yeah, what's that like? Yes, John looked very, very, very handsome in his Taco Bell uniform, which was kind of refried bean brown, as I remember.
Now I know you're lying. It was shit brown, and it was polyester, and I had one of those paper cone hats that I had to wear. It was sexy. It was
and he has hair. So imagine my hair on John's head with the paper hat. But John, I have a surprise for you because when we were talking about this earlier today, I started thinking. Now, I remember the first time I saw you, I thought you were so cute because you still are. And I remember seeing you in your uniform. But do you remember what I was wearing the day we met? It was actually the night.
I think you were wearing I think you were wearing like your Letterman's jacket.
Close. I was wearing
a puffy, your cheerleader.
Uniform.
Oh my God. You still have that?
Yes.
Does it fit?
No. It did. And this was so fancy. Handmade wool. We were the Akalani's Dons. I had to do it. Had to bring it out. I could fit it.
Right. Yes, you were wearing it. Now I remember. So of course your stock was high because you were a cheerleader, and I was so sexy in my polyester shit brown Taco Bell outfit that I can't even believe we are still friends to this day.
Yeah. Well,
the steak is finished.
All right. Awesome.
It's all done. It's beautifully browned. I like mine like a little bit on the medium rare side. So that's the 3 minutes. If you like your steak more cooked, then you just do it for a little bit longer, for 4 minutes. But it's just the same. 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. And then that way it comes out great every time. And people get so flipped out, like Patty was talking about earlier. I've never made my own steak. I don't even know how to do it. And people get so flipped out about grilling a steak. And it's so easy. And here's the other thing. We're doing it with Chipotle today. But here's the other thing. When you make steak on the grill, like on the barbecue, you don't have to put, you only put salt and pepper. That's all you need to put. 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. And when you bring it in the house to rest for 4 minutes, you put a pat of butter on top. And the butter melts into the steak. And it gives us this really delicious buttery flavor. I'm not doing that today because we have seasoned these steaks a different way. But that's the easiest way to make steak ever. And it's a hit every time.
Awesome. All right, so while the steak's resting, we're going to make the dressing that we're going to put everything in together. And it's also super easy. We're going to take, 2 tablespoons of fresh orange juice. And I actually have, where I live, there are citrus trees everywhere. And so in the winter, when the fruit is very abundant, not me, my husband, picks all the fruit. I know what you're thinking. Yes, I am that spoiled. And then I freeze the juice. So I freeze the lemon juice, I freeze the orange juice, and I freeze the grapefruit juice. So I just defrosted one of my little, I don't want to spill it, but one of my little orange juice cubes this morning because I didn't want to waste a whole orange for just 2 tablespoons of orange juice. And fresh orange juice does make a difference. I have a couple of other recipes where the marinade calls for fresh orange juice. Way better than Minute Maid. So then we've got that with 2 tablespoons of orange juice, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. And this is just a really nice light dressing, not heavy. And there's not too much dressing. There's also a great thing about this recipe is you can make it in advance. It'd be great to take on a picnic or to a tailgate if you got to go to a football game or to a party. It's a really hearty, easy to transport, and it lasts a long time. So the next ingredient I have in my little Tupperware, this is a tablespoon of adobe sauce from canned Chipotle chilies. Yeah. So when you get those chilies, you can kind of see here's a chili, looks like a big brown glob. And then in that, oh my gosh, it smells so good. And then in there is sauce. So
and this is the can of Chipotles that I bought at the store. And this recipe calls for the sauce. So what do you do with these? Like after you got the sauce out to make this, but what do you do with the Chipotles? Well, they're really good if you cook them in like a enchilada sauce. You make Chipotle enchiladas or Chipotle meat for tacos. And you just take out a few at a time and they keep in the refrigerator in a Tupperware for a really long time.
Yeah.
And you blend them in the blender. So that they become a paste, and you mix it into your sauce, and it makes that smoky, delicious, spicy flavor. That profile is so good.
Yum. All right, so we did the orange juice, red wine vinegar, the adobe sauce, Now I've just got a half a teaspoon of cumin. Honestly, I love cumin. My half a teaspoon might be a little heavy. And then just a quarter teaspoon of honey. So easy, easy. Got the honey bear.
Okay, I'm putting the honey.
All right, got my honey. Oh, I forgot to get out my whisk. I got to go get my whisk. Never miss an opportunity to whisk.
So I'm whisking.
I don't know where my whisk is. I'll blame it on somebody. Someone in the house must have touched the whisk. So I'm just going to mix that up, make a little nice light dressing.
Hey, so Patty, I've got little pieces of chili, Chipotle chili, in my dressing here. Is that okay?
Yeah, me too. I think that's all right.
So it gives a little extra flavor.
Yum. So this is when we get to the super complicated part. Now we have all these ingredients and we're just going to put them all together in the bowl. So we're going to stir in the quinoa. Let's talk about quinoa for a second. Like, I didn't even know what quinoa was, 5 years ago, probably? I can thank Sam Sid for that because, when I grew up, it was white rice, right? My dad liked white rice with butter on it. And then my daughter, went to college, explored new things, moved to New York, blah, blah, blah. So now it's quinoa and couscous and farro and all these cool ancient grains that are so tasty. So here's some fun facts about quinoa. If you've never made it, it is super nutritious. It is, you think it's a grain, but it's actually a seed. And it's from a plant in Peru. And it's actually related to spinach. It's a great substitute for rice. Check this out, John. There are 1,800 types of quinoa. And they come in all different colors.
So that's why, that explains why yours is one color and I have 3 colors. I have black, red, and white quinoa, right?
You could have purple, pink, orange, green, or yellow. In the United States, what's most common is the white or the red. The red is the Incan quinoa. So it's got lots of nutrients. It's a great source of protein. So again, if you're going meatless, you still have a great source of protein in this recipe. Also with the beans, it's gluten-free and it's got all the essential amino acids. It's high in fiber. I mean, it helps you. It's also one of those things that helps you feel full, so you don't eat too much. And here's a fun thing. Let's see if you can't really see this, but when it cooks, the little germ, the little white rings you see when you cook it, I don't think you can see it, but there's little white rings. Oh, there's a good one. And that means when they're done, when you see those little rings, that's the germs separating from the seed, and that's where all the nutrients are, and that's how you know it's done. So kind of like a science.
That is fascinating, and I didn't know any of that. And I couldn't even say quinoa until about a year ago.
Yeah.
It's spelled like quinoa.
Mm-hmm.
Quinoa.
We're making Chipotle quinoa today.
Yes.
So we've got 1.5 cups of our quinoa.
And what are we doing? We're putting it in with the dressing?
Yep. Just this, like I said, this is where it gets complicated. We've got a can of black beans. And I like to do things like I think I've said before. 1 can, let's throw it in. You use 3/4 of the can, and then you've got like 2 tablespoons left. What are you going to do with them? Throw that in there.
Done.
We've got a red bell pepper all chopped up nice and little. Nice. I feel like the face of the ingredient wars. Let's see how and then we did some little mini heirloom tomatoes. I like these little heirlooms that they literally look like little heirlooms, all different colors.
I couldn't find those.
But you found the same deal.
They're little. These are like pear tomatoes and cherry tomatoes that are orange and red. But what heirloom? Like, are they actually heirloom baby?
Yeah.
Heirloom?
Can you see how they've got that variegated color?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, next time.
I can't believe there's something in the desert, an ingredient I can find that you can't. It's amazing. Then we've got about 1/4 cup of chopped fresh cilantro. I'm going to throw that in there. And then we've got spinach. So speaking of spinach, the other day, Sam said, hey, Delia?
Delia. You're not late to the party, Delia. I'm glad you're here.
And being late is totally okay with us. So the other days,
because dinner's gonna be a little late.
Get it. So the other day, Sam Sid was sitting across the table from me eating some spinach, and she said, "Mom, does spinach ever do this weird thing to your teeth?" And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "I don't know." But so of course I had to find out. So actually there's a phenomenon called spinach tooth. And what it is it's that film that covers your teeth.
You are making this up.
What?
You're making this up.
I am not. It happens because the leafy greens of spinach are chock full of, I don't know how to say this one, oxalic acid, oxalic. Sorry, you guys, that's like a thing that we used to say in high school to each other. Honestly, that just came out of my face. So it's almost like tiny fine crystals are floating around in your mouth. So that's what gives that weird feeling and texture.
But it's good for you. That feeling and texture it's full of nutrients, and that's a nutrient, right?
And fun fact, quinoa is also full of this same, can't pronounce, acid. So they have the quinoa plant is actually like a relative of spinach and beet.
While you do that, I'm going to cut my steak while you're.
So we threw the spinach in, and I think that's everything for now. Is that everything now? Yeah. So then we're just going to mix this all up.
No, you forgot the feta.
The feta goes on top.
Oh.
You could absolutely toss the feta in the bowl right now if you wanted to. Absolutely. I kind of like it on top because I like a lot of feta. While John's cutting, let's do our wine pairing for the week. Now, if you might have noticed that I am not drinking my requisite glass of wine, which I feel is sort of, a necessary thing for the job that I'm performing for you. I'm having a little ginger ale today. Felt a little puny. I got my flu shot last night and never had a problem. Well, I've only gotten one other time, but last year I got it, no problems. Got it last night. Kind of woke up kind of feeling a little puny. So drinking ginger ale. But get your flu shot. My doctor said, don't wait. Usually he recommends it later in the year. He says, get them now. So, but let's get back to the good stuff. So wine pairing. So Sam Sid recommends a Tempranillo, which is a varietal of grape from the Spanish region of Rioja. So that would be your red option. It's a hearty, full-bodied red. And for white, she also recommends a hearty, full-bodied white. She says, if you're feeling crazy, find a white Tempranillo. And actually, they're easier to find than you might anticipate. And then if you want to stay, domestic, you want to stay New World, California, of course, John's favorite, not Chardonnay.
No. No Chardonnay. Okay, can you see? I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yes, we can.
You see how perfectly cooked that is? So that is my secret I pass on to you. 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes.
Looks delicious. Thank you, Diane. I do like my internet research. I'm not going to lie. Diane has dubbed me a quinoa spinach dictionary.
Patty Diane. She knows what she's talking about.
Yep. So now I'm just going to stir all this together. And one of the things I love about this dish is it's so pretty. The colors are so pretty. And that's why I like using the mixture of tomatoes. You could do a red pepper if you want a yellow or an orange pepper. It's just.
So am I just tossing this, Patty?
Yeah, tossing.
Okay.
Now there are some other ingredients that you could put in here if you wanted, right, John?
So Patty and I had a whole debate about this, and she was insistent that we leave out onions. And I still don't know why, but who makes a salad like this without onions? So I have green onions that I've chopped up, and I'm going to add these green onions in, even though Patty is not, and she forbade me to do that. But you know what? I'm doing it anyway. And Patty, what was the reason?
Okay, just between you and me and hopefully a lot of viewers. Onion breath.
Oh. And did you look that up in the dictionary and find out what actually causes?
I am married to a man who does not like onion breath. Also, as one gets older, some people, onions upset their tummy. So, but that's,
right.
that's the beauty of
it. I have no judgment on the tummy part, judgment on the onion breath, but I'll let it go. So I put green onions in mine. It's optional.
And it'll add another pretty color. So there we've got it. It's all pretty. It's ready to go.
Look at that. That looks beautiful.
Here. Da, 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 da.
Really, really pretty.
One of these days we're going to do that, and the whole thing is just going to.
I know, just fall.
Oh,
Okay, so I'm plating mine now.
Okay, me too.
So quinoa is like, you make it just like rice. And we got all stuck on where quinoa is from, but we forgot to talk about like what it actually is, like how to cook it.
Yes, you're right.
And again, I was feeling a little intimidated because I have quinoa is not something I do a lot of, and you cook it just like rice. So it's 3 cups of water and 1 cup of quinoa, and you boil it just like you do, and then you put it on simmer, and it soaks up all the water, and you end up with the finished quinoa. It's super easy, 20 minutes and you're done. But I had never cooked it before, so again, like I worked myself up like a person who's never cooked a steak patty. And when I made it, it was like, oh, this is easy. This is easy to buy.
And it is really cool because like I said, when it's done, you can see those little rings, so you know it's ready.
And I am so hungry. So this is looking darn good to me.
All right, so then we're just going to.
So I'm putting the steak.
Put the steak on top, and then some feta. Now the recipe, again, I love feta. So the recipe calls for like a 1/2 cup for the 4 servings. If you want more, put in more. If you want less, put in less. You can also use, what's the Mexican cheese? Cotija. See, that would be very tasty too. That would work with this. And then I've just got some avocado to put on top of that. And we have
the avocado on so it look all pretty, or what?
Remember, I'm all about function. Mine is cut up into bite-sized pieces. Ready to go.
Oh, mine's like all, well, I'll show you.
Well, I hope it's pretty.
So this is what mine looks like.
I think it's Instagram worthy. Oh yeah, see, John, it's the gay thing. His is all pretty and perfect. Mine just is like, eat me, it's time. Ooh, I almost lost it. So there you go.
Playing out again. I'm good at display. I think you're better at science. That's good. That's all good.
Wait, did you just say I'm better at science?
Well, yeah, you're giving us a whole lesson about the vitamins in spinach teeth. I mean, who's ever heard of that? I thought spinach teeth was when you got a little piece of spinach stuck in your teeth and you go like this and like can't get it out. Yeah. Yep. Rosanna.
All right. Well,
so there we go. So that was easy, right? So easy, delicious, comes together quick. You can serve it for lunch or dinner. And here's a little secret. It keeps. So if you made too much and you put it in the refrigerator, sometimes salad gets a little funky if you like try to save it, eat it the next day. But this one, because the spinach is kind of hearty, and spinach you can eat cooked or raw. So the vinegar and the orange juice and all that stuff start to cook the spinach a little bit, but it's totally fine. And the next day, it's just as good.
It is. It's great. Thank you, Henry. Henry's in the house.
Henry, glad you made it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Henry. I know it is delicious.
Yeah, so you try
it. You can make it at home and try it out.
Yeah. And like John said, it's great the next day. I mean, I love leftovers. I think we've established that fact. And it's like, I can't wait till tomorrow because I know we're not going to eat all that tonight. So that's a wrap for this week. So John, next week, we got a bye week.
Yeah, we got to skip. 1 week skip, right?
Yep. So that's a great opportunity in case you missed an episode, or maybe you just want to go back to your favorite recipe. Or like John said, find the recipe on the blog and actually make it with us. So that's your homework for next week. You won't see us next week, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. And what are we going to be making in 2 weeks, John?
Well, I'm disclosing a family secret. And those of you that have watched the show before might know that a lot of the recipes that I have in my arsenal are from my mother and my grandmother, my Sicilian side of the family. And they taught us to make these dishes by watching. It wasn't written down, passed on from generation to generation to generation. So we are making a Sicilian specialty that my family passed on to generations, and now my generation makes. So we are making their meatballs.
Yeah.
So, which in Italian is polpette. So we're making polpette, the family recipe that is not disclosed except for you guys here on the show 2 weeks from today. And that way you know how to make you know how to make the meatballs, so that when you make the sauce, which we'll teach you at some point, then the meatballs and the sauce go together and you have spaghetti and meatballs.
Yum. Yum, yum, yum. All right.
So tune in 2 weeks from today. And remember to go to twodadswithbaggage.com to see all the recipes, or dinner's going to be a little late, or dinner's a little late is actually, it's like you see it there with Patty's name. Dinner's a little late.
There you go.
Is where you can find it on YouTube. So all the videos, all the episodes are on YouTube at Dinner's a Little Late. Yeah. So I hope you keep watching. We really are enjoying having you and your comments and your following. And I'd love to hear from you if you're going to make these dishes. So if you watch again, let us know how it went. And remember that steak tip: 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, and no more intimidation grilling a steak.
I might do it this weekend. I might be like, Scott, get out of the way. I'm grilling.
Okay, well, I'll pay to see that.
Well, you shamed me into getting into Lake Tahoe when it was freezing. So if I can get into Lake Tahoe, I can probably cook a steak.
You don't go all the way to Lake Tahoe and sit at the edge of a beautiful lake for the entire week and not put a toe in the water. And yes, it's cold, but oh well, so what?
I did it. I went up to here. I have the photo evidence. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye. Bye. Oh, bye.